Messages of support from the African continent and beyond continue to pour in for Home Affairs Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, who's been elected the new chairperson of the AU Commission, and the SACP calls for the National Army to be more actively deployed. I'm Richard Brooks. Messages of support from the African continent and beyond continue to pour in for Home Affairs Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, who's been elected the new chairperson of the African Union Commission. Dlamini-Zuma trounced incumbent Jean Ping after garnering a 60% majority vote required for a candidate to occupy the continental body's top administrative post. The former Foreign Affairs Minister becomes the first woman to become the AU Commission's head since the organisation was formed 49 years ago. Dlamini-Zuma has also dispelled claims that South Africa wanted to use the chairmanship of the AU Commission to entrench its political and economic dominance in Africa.
South Africa is not going to move to Addis to come and run the African Union. It's going to be Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma who will come here, not South Africa. So I don't see the connection between me as an individual who wants to make a contribution to this organization to my country's size. What people should judge is whether I, as an individual, if I'm elected, would I be able to serve the union as a whole, implement decisions that are taken collectively by the member states of the African Union.
The SACP, that's the South African Communist Party, has called for the National Army to be more actively deployed. The party says the South African National Defence Force's policies should be transformed to meet the needs of a developmental state. This was one of the resolutions from the party's 13th Congress that ended in Empangeni in KZN over the weekend. Deputy Secretary-General Jeremy Cronin explains.
So there's low morale and there's a lack of connection between the developmental objectives of the state and the doctrine and policies and practices of this defence force, and therefore a call for the defence force to be deployed actively, again, to be a doing developmental defence force in rural areas, helping to build infrastructure, protecting our coastline rather than outsourcing that protection of our fisheries that's been in the newspapers recently.
Mopping up operations and assessment of the extent of damage are expected to resume in some areas of the Eastern Cape today. This after heavy rains and snowfall that left over 2,000 people homeless in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro over the weekend. More than 2,000 people living in the low-lying areas had to be evacuated. Rising water levels resulted in several cars and motorists being trapped. Moderate to heavy showers are still expected in some parts of the province. Dam levels in the area are also very high. Several roads in the province were closed yesterday due to snowfalls. Constitutional law expert Professor Marius Vegas has warned that Cape Town's new bylaw giving traffic officials the right to confiscate motorists' cell phones is open to abuse by dishonest law enforcers. The bylaw came into force in Cape Town more than a week ago. Motorists found driving while on their phones face a fine, while their phones can also be confiscated for a period of 24 hours until the fine has been paid. Vegas explains.
If there's any abuse, if it's been wrongly used, then there must be a recourse. And there must be an easy and a very, very quick recourse. And as I said, it leaves the door wide open to dishonest officers to use extortion. Say, well, we saw you using the phone a block away. You said, no, I didn't. And they said, oh, yes, we saw you, and give that phone. And unless you give the phone,